Ilya Sorokin got the start, but he couldn't finish. Sorokin stumbles and the Islanders fall 3-2. We'll break down what went wrong. And folks, the season could come to an end as early as Saturday. We've got all that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Friday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it's a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. We have got a lot to discuss after the Islanders' 3-2 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. And first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you can email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You can also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles. And you can follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long. And I am also live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for instant insight and analysis. And it's always great to talk some Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. Coming into this game, we knew that the only realistic chance the Islanders had of getting back into this series was to win Game 3. And look, you had to really kind of win both games at UBS, but if you win Game 3, you get the momentum change, you get a little lift, you get some confidence. All of a sudden, the Hurricanes are not this insurmountable object that you can't overcome. And Patrick Roy took a gamble. The gamble was putting Ilya Sorokin back between the pipes and having Sorokin start Game 3. And look, we all know Semyon Varlamov was not the reason that the Islanders lost the first two games of this series. He played well in Game 1. He was not giving up lots of soft goals in Game 2, a game that, the Islanders lost it 5-3. One of the net goals was an empty netter, but that game could have easily been 7-1 the way, the shot attempts and shots were in that contest. So can't blame Varley for that. And yet, I understood why you were gambling with Sorokin. Sorokin is your number one goalie. He is, starting an 8-year extension next year, and we're going to have plenty of time to talk about that all off season. But he's rested. Varley just faced a lot of shots, and Sorokin did play better his last couple of games at the end of the season. So I understood the reason for the change, the gamble, to bring Sorokin in and let him do his thing. It didn't work. And Ilya Sorokin played a little more than 27 minutes in this game. He only faced 14 shots, but he let in 3 goals. Yeah, that's a .786 save percentage. Last time I checked, you don't win too many games when your goalie's save percentage is .786. And it's not just that. All 3 goals were, I don't know if I would go as far as to say they were soft goals, but they were goals that certainly Ilya Sorokin, when he's playing up to his capacity, would save. They are goals he would want to have back. He was not sharp. He did not seem to play his angles well. He did not seem to be confident. He just did not have a good game. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Ilya Sorokin struggled, and he struggled big time. And the worst goal out of the three in my mind was the last one, the goal by Sebastian Aho that came 4.5 minutes after the Islanders got on the board. Pierre Engvall with that goal, and that made it a 2-1 game, and the Islanders had a little bit of momentum, and then Sebastian Aho scores a goal that never should have gone in. And voila, it's 3-1. And that was it for Ilya Sorokin. He heads off, plays, goes to the bench, sits, by himself in the tunnel with his helmet on and mask, never really, wasn't sitting on the bench with his teammates for a while. And you could absolutely see the pain on his face during during after he got pulled. And quite honestly, in this game, the Islanders outshot the Hurricanes 31-22. The Islanders had their chances in this game, but the big difference between winning and losing, Ilya Sorokin was mediocre at best. Frederik Andersen was at the top of his game. And he stopped 29 shots, had a .935 save percentage. And it wasn't just the number of shots or the save percentage. Frederik Andersen made some spectacular saves throughout this game, stopping Matthew Barzal and Kyle Palmieri and Noah Dobson and Alexander Romanov and just J.G. Pajot. He had some really spectacular saves, and Ilya Sorokin just didn't have it. And to his credit, Semyon Varlamov kept the Islanders in the game, finished up the last 30 minutes and 33 seconds before he gets pulled with a couple of minutes left, and that was it. But I feel for Ilya Sorokin, and I think you have a combination now, and I've been watching him all year, every day, as you know, we've been talking about this. I think it's a combination at this point of mental and physical exhaustion. When Varlamov was injured, Sorokin started, 14 games in a row. And the Islanders at that point were giving up a lot of shots and a lot of high danger shots. I think Sorokin got worn down physically, and I think he was a little shell-shocked mentally to the point where his confidence just wavered. And Ilya Sorokin typically is an even-keeled, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low kind of goalie. And yet, he absolutely, positively does not look confident right now in between the pipes. And all season long, even when he was struggling with his angles and the low glove side and tracking the puck and coming too far out of his net or not going side to side quickly, these are all things that he had issues with at one time or another over the course of the season. But until recently, I never saw his confidence waver. And right now, his confidence does seem to be wavering. And the Islanders, I think he's done as far as this year is concerned. I don't think we see Ilya Sorokin again, barring an injury to Semyon Varlamov. And I will say this, and again, we have a long off season most likely to discuss this, but the big question for the New York Islanders, or one of the big questions this offseason, is going to be whether or not Ilya Sorokin can get his confidence back and get back to being the player he was a year ago. Because right now he is struggling, and in this game, I'm not saying it's all on Ilya Sorokin, but the difference in goaltending was the biggest difference in this game. And Ilya Sorokin needs to get his confidence back. If he's hurt and we don't know it, he certainly needs to heal. And he needs to get back to being the Ilya Sorokin we knew so well last year, and, finished second in the Vezina trophy voting a year ago. So that's going to be vital for the Islanders and for Ilya Sorokin, because his big contract starts to kick in at $8.5 million a year. That kicks in next year. So Islanders are going to need a lot more from Ilya Sorokin than what we saw. We have got a lot more to discuss on today's show. We'll talk about our hero and go to the game, some of the Islanders' best players who have been struggling all series long. Plus, we'll preview Game 4, which is Saturday afternoon. For our Islanders' birthday of the day, a present-day Islander who played goal today. You have a 50-50 shot now, I guess, of guessing who it is. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could handpick the best stars for your business team? If you're building your talent roster, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching, assessments, and virtual interviews. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/locked-on to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/locked-on, Indeed.com/locked-on. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So let's go to hero and go to the game before we get to some of these other issues that are just, definitely facing this hockey team. And I think the go to the game is obvious. Again, I'm not blaming this loss exclusively on Ilya Sorokin, but if you had to pick one player who was most responsible, I think Sorokin is the GOAT, that he went to the head of the class for having a shaky game when the Islanders needed him to shine, and therefore he is our GOAT of the game. Hero of the game, well, this one may come as a little bit of a surprise, but I'm going with Pierre Engvall, and I know he is not the favorite player of a lot of my viewers and listeners, members of the Locked On Islanders family, but Engvall had 3 shots on goal. He scored. He was a +1. He had some other opportunities. He went to the net. I think he played himself a very solid game. And overall, got to be pleased with that. So, look, you can have your favorites. You can have guys who you kind of don't like their style of play or what have you. But I try to be fair. And even when the Islanders' best player, and Ilya Sorokin is arguably their best player, when he's not doing well, I'm going to say it. When he's doing well, I'm going to say it. Same thing with Pierre Engvall. He had a solid game today, more than I could say about most other players on this team. And he is our hero of the game for the New York Islanders. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough to tie the game and send it in to overtime. Look, we are in a situation right now where the Islanders are having trouble with a lot of their best players. And you go down the list. We already mentioned Ilya Sorokin, who continues to struggle. Bo Horvat, through the first two periods of this game, no shots on goal at all. He ended the game with two shots on goal. He was great in the faceoff circle, but no points, a -1. He has one goal in this series. Matthew Barzal, no points, a -1. Two giveaways. They need more from this top line. All of a sudden, the line of Bo, Barzy, and Casey Cizikas just not getting it done. Zeke had one shot on goal. He was a -2. And, again, the Islanders just not getting it done. As far as, these are your best players. These are the guys you need to be coming through, and they're just not doing it. And offensively, you need more. You got a goal from Brock Nelson in this game, and it was a good goal. He went to the net, got the goal, but you need more from really all of your major offensive guys. Noah Dobson, even in the plus minus, no goals, no assists, took a penalty. And again, Dobson is almost certainly playing hurt right now. The fact that he returned for the playoffs after being injured late in the season, I think speaks volumes. And I give him credit for being out there and trying, but we're not seeing offensively the Noah Dobson that we want to see. And defensively, he remains a liability for this team. The fourth line in this game kind of did its thing. 6 hits for Cal Clutterbuck, tied him with Adam Pelech for the team lead. Ryan Pollock had 5 hits right behind him, but just not getting a lot of offense from the players you need the offense from. And, the cliche in the NHL is if you want to win in the playoffs, and really if you want to win during the regular season as well, your best players have to be your best players. And the Islanders' best players in this series so far have not been, and that is a big reason why that this series is 3-0 against the Islanders. And, there was one lineup change, and that change actually worked out well. Simon Holmstrom sits. Into the game comes Hudson Fasching. Fasching did not figure in the scoring, but he was largely responsible for Brock Nelson's goal, did a good job on that shift, did some good digging in the corners, set up some of his teammates for some chances. I think Hudson Fasching did just fine overall. Now, there was talk about Matt Martin not going and Ruslan Ishkakov playing. Matt Martin had one shot in 8 minutes and 16 seconds, 2 hits, 1 block shot, but he was a game time decision and he played. Would it shock me if Patrick Waugh basically gives Ishkakov a chance with, game 4 with almost nothing to lose? I think the Islanders should find a way to get Ishkakov into the game, but right now, this team continues to just lack a little spark. And by the way, third defensive pair, which was Mike Riley and Robert Bortuzzo, they were both -3 in this game, and Bortuzzo was -2. And Bortuzzo was only on the ice for 12 minutes and 42 seconds. So clearly that defense pairing struggling in this game and, not looking so good in that respect for the New York Islanders. So one more chance to extend the season. Islanders will be facing the Hurricanes on Saturday afternoon That game coming at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And don't forget, you could hear every minute of this game with the Islanders' hometown radio broadcast on SiriusXM. Just go to the SXM app and do a search for Islanders. We're going to talk about that game, what needs to happen for the Islanders to extend their season. We've got that and a lot more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. We've all been there, either as a player or as a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good. You're feeling low, not sure if you or your team can pull out a win, but that's when you dig deep. Lift up your head and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. And there's so much to do. You could play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, charge other players rent for your iconic properties, and yes, you could even work with your friends to crack open community chests and tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Here's what we've got coming for the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders either win Saturday or they hit the golf course for the rest of the summer Sunday. It is that simple. And psychologically, obviously, look, there's no way anyone other than Semyon Varlamov starts in goal in this game. I would be shocked if Patrick Roy goes back to Ilya Sorokin in the fragile state he seems to be in psychologically. That's one. Number two, I think Ruslan Ishkakov has to play. I think we need to see a little more offensive spark. I mean, the Islanders did have 31 shots on goal. They had some quality chances. But again, and we've talked about this on the show many times, and look, everydayers, you know I've been saying this since last offseason, and we also know this team just does not have enough goal scoring. They do not have 6 legitimate top 6 forwards on this roster. They have 4. And putting Ruslan Ishkakov into this game to give the team an offensive spark, like I said, at this point, it's all a gamble. You have nothing to lose. If his defense is subpar, so be it. Let it happen that way, because it doesn't matter. The odds of winning 4 games in a row obviously are not good, but you don't have to win 4 games in a row. You have to win 1 game in a row 4 times. And the only thing, the Islanders cannot psychologically think about, oh my gosh, we've got this huge hill to climb. How are we going to win 4 games in a row? You don't think about the mountain. You think about the next step. You think about the next shift. Win my shift. I have 40 seconds to be on the ice. Win your shift. You got to break it down into small chunks and just find a way to make it better. And let's see if this team can even just extend their season 1 more game. And if they can do that, then you see if they can extend it 1 more game again. But to me, right now, some changes have to be made. And I think if the Islanders play game 4 if they play the way they played in game 3, again in game 4, and they get solid goaltending from Semyon Varlamov, I think they've got a chance to extend the series. If they would have gotten good to very good goaltending from Ilya Sorokin, I think they would have won last night. But obviously, that ship has sailed, and now it's up to the Islanders to just stay alive, keep it going. It's a 2:00 Eastern time start Saturday. Again, you could hear every minute of this Islanders hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just go to the SXM app and do a search for Islanders. But again, take it one step at a time. You know, the crazy thing about this series, from an Islanders perspective, game 1, I think the Islanders played better than the Hurricanes, but they couldn't finish, and so they lose. Game 2, the Islanders were dominated for 53 minutes out of 60, but they had a 3-0 lead and watched it slip away. And then game 3, I think, again, the Islanders outplayed the Hurricanes, but the goaltending for the Hurricanes was outstanding. Frederik Andersen. Ilya Sorokin struggled. You lose by 1 goal. So overall, maybe the most frustrating thing is that the Islanders could easily be down 2-1 or up 2-1. I don't think it's realistic to say they could be up 3-0. They're playing a better team right now in the Hurricanes, but they were in every game, whether it was on the scoreboard or as far as comparing, which team was playing better on the ice. They were in every game, and yet to be down 3-0 is just very, very frustrating. And you got to give the Hurricanes credit. Their strengths are kind of the Islanders' weaknesses, and they exploit them extremely well. They're disciplined. And the Islanders, they keep shooting themselves in the foot, like taking a penalty when you're on the power play. We saw that again. So let's see if the Islanders can just play one clean game and get the dub. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. And, Saturday is going to be the 36th birthday of Islanders goalie Semyon Varlamov. Now, I usually try to, have past players be our birthday of the day, but to me right now, Varley, he certainly deserves to be the Islanders birthday of the day. He is playing quite well right now, and played well down the stretch. Islanders wouldn't even be in the playoffs without the strong contributions of Varley. First round pick, 23rd overall of the Capitals back in 2006, played for the Capitals, the Avalanche, and then the Islanders. Joined the Isles in 2019, 2020, and has been steady and solid for this team ever since. One of his better games with the Islanders, February 8th, 2021, at Madison Square Garden. Islanders and Rangers. Obviously, Varley, the goalie for the Islanders. Igor Shesterkin, the goalie for the Rangers. This game was scoreless till the third, when Casey Cizikas and Matt Martin scored goals 2 minutes and 5 seconds apart, and the Islanders won 2-0 at the Garden. Varley with 30 saves to earn the shutout, and the Islanders skate away with the win. I'm hoping Varley can play just as well on Saturday and help extend the series, but Semyon Varlamov is our Islanders birthday of the day. I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Everydayers will be back. Well, okay, I'm going to spell this out. If the Islanders win Saturday, we're going to do a bonus episode. If they lose Saturday, we will just do our regular Sunday show and we will go from there. So that's how I'm going to play it. So if the Islanders win on Saturday, we will do a bonus episode that'll premiere Saturday night / Sunday morning at our usual premiere time of midnight. If the Islanders lose, we'll just do the regular Sunday night at midnight, Sunday night / Monday morning at midnight, and just recap the series end the season and start our off-season coverage. And remember, we're here every day, Monday through Friday, throughout the off-season, or most of the off-season, all 5 days a week as well. Have a great weekend, everybody. Hang in there. Hopefully Saturday things are a little bit different for the Islanders. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.